Okay. Well, good morning, Alice. Thanks for joining me today. Me and Alice had connected through the cash bail panel that we did a few months ago. And Alice, before we kind of get into, I guess, what you want to share with us today, I wonder if you could just introduce yourself. So maybe share your name, where you call home, and then who is an ancestor for you that taught you how to love? So your name, your home, and an ancestor that taught you how to love.
My name is Alice Kahaleua. I live on Kahilo, the Big Island. An ancestor that taught me how to love, really was my kids. If I really look at it, my kids taught me how to love.
That's
Yeah. The deeper love, you know, like my parents taught me how to love, but my kids taught me how to show love, how to express love.
I love that.
Unconditional.
Tom, where are you getting these numbers from?
I'm getting emotional.
Thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for bills.
And Alice, what made you want to share today, I guess, your story with other folks?
Because there are plenty of families that going through the same thing and don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know what to do. I reached out to Monica and I basically told her help. I don't know who to trust.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't trust anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Alice, I know that you've already shared a little bit with me. What is it that you want to share about your son's story or your own story about kind of how the prison system has impacted you and your family?
Well, like I was doing time with him, you know, like pretty much like out here, they had no regards to us as far as like they call them inmates, right? But we don't use the word inmate because that's not what makes their identity, right? They reside there for a temporary period of time. But at one point, when my son was assaulted by the jail guards, and I called to check on his welfare and his well-being, the response from the guard was, and he's a sergeant at the time. He said, "How you found out?" That was the response. I said, "Aren't you guys supposed to call the family members?" He said, "Only if they die."
Oh my gosh. You said only if they die.
Only if they die. Yeah. So that was that morning that a story came out on Civil Beat saying that my son assaulted the jail guards, which video footage would establish that did not happen. The jail guards later fired, but because they
would have charged me with them if I did something. They would have charged me.
That's
with
my
them.
son in the back.
Guarantee.
Yeah. So they flew him to Hawaiʻi. There wasn't pre-trial detainee.
Why not?
Put him to Hawaiʻi,
Not
and then put him in solitary confinement. So I'm just, I feel in my spirit that I can do something. I know the feeling of powerlessness, and then I never look myself in home in my life like I said earlier, you know, because they cover up stuff. That's the truth. They cover up stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's covered up. You know, and I believe everything comes too late. I grateful my son is home and alive. If my daughter wasn't able to make the loan, we wouldn't be able to get him out. If it wasn't for the people that I know from when I was in elementary school, because people was reluctant to bail him out.
Yeah.
They're just reluctant to bail out people, like you gotta have this, you gotta have that, and as far as us, and especially during the time it's COVID, you know, my daughter got pulled out of work because she's asthmatic and she's pregnant, and so we need somebody with a job to co-sign. You know, it's really hard, but it's people when they take a step in faith and they when bond him out, you know, and they don't regret it because my son has just been progressing, given opportunity, and the support. People can flourish. Why take them away from their families? When the family is what they reach out to when they're in jail. That's what they yearn to be with their family and the kids. That's all my son wanted, was to be home with his kid. And he made mistakes due to substance abuse issues, you know. And I played a big part in that. I played a huge part in that. He never asked for being a drug addict, you know. And not to say he doesn't battle it every day, but he has filled his life with all positive stuff. Given opportunity. But see, given opportunity, if you never have on high bail, my daughter would never have to take out a loan. And they would, the judge was adamant about locking him up. And he was cold and cruel. And spoke to my son as if he was a subject, not a person or a number, not a human being.
Alice, I hear that your family has such a strong care and support for each other, which is so beautiful. If you're comfortable, do you mind sharing a little bit about what the bail was for your son and then how you folks came about getting the loan to pay for that?
We initially, his bill was $81,000.
$81,000.
And then they reduced it, because had different charges. When they picked him up, they got him in new charges, which I doubt won't stick because, yeah, they got a good trial anyway. He has an excellent attorney. So one was $26,000 got reduced to it, and another one was 25. So total $51,000. So you go 10% out of this 5,000, right? So we did garage sale, and somebody came by and donated $100. I gave a Christmas tree towards the end of the garage sale. I gave him a Christmas tree, and they gave $100, and she told me, put it on your son's books, and like that wouldn't strengthen my faith. Yeah, but my daughter tried to get a loan, and when they asked what the loan was for, and she told them about it, she was shunned, you know, like denied. But this one lady said that she was gonna help her, and she's in my account. If I say what thing, one means financial, and she told Erica, my daughter Erica, she would help her in any way she could, and she called her and she got. So the rest of the money came from the loan. So my son pays that too. He pays that back. He goes to school, you know, he works. Given opportunity, people can flourish. I believe that if they have this for their family, you know, it's not, the answer is not jail. They're teaching them for being more criminal minded. And you put mental health left untreated does not get better. You can be a person that is normal, go and get put in a home and get mental issues. You know, because you're in there by yourself with your thoughts. I know my mind is loud. They're doing construction across the street, so they decided to make noise right now.
That's right. It's always how it is. Well, Alice, to me, it sounds like a lot of that support that he needed was coming from your family. When he was moved to solitary confinement, was that after the assault with the officers?
That was on that time. They put him in solitary confinement, and then
Right.
this when they said they had the riot breakout. That was after the riot on A side. Okay, this one was when they said, oh, because he wanted to put the tables together. That's why he said he would read the footage when the day before, because the tables was together. The guy used COVID as an excuse. So that was they flew to allow for that time, put him in solitary confinement, and then we built him out that time. We bailed him out. Okay, and then the other charges that he got, because I'm sure that's the relapse, because still no services in place, no support in place, no case management in place. He got picked up on the charges and was incarcerated. They put him in the fishbowl, had like 60 of them, right? And then after it leaked out that the had photos of the fishbowl, what happened in the fishbowl, then they said they in fact they flew like 11 of them to Kahaleua, but they put my son in solitary confinement. They put him in a home by himself.
Wow. And Alice, did you say that your son also got COVID, or he did
get the vaccination? He was not reluctant to take the vaccine. He got the vaccination, and he caught COVID on what day was May 20. Vaccination May 20. May 20 he took the vaccination. May 27, 22nd, 27, I think. He took the test, and 2 days later was tested positive COVID. And he's the type that he's gonna not complaining, you know, like, but he's watching people like can't breathe, they can't breathe, their chest tight. My daughter got COVID and she said her skin hurt, her hair hurt.
Mhm.
She isolated for 6 days, but there's no way. I mean, the mattresses, if you want, I can send you a picture later. Like, the mattresses like this thin and like this far apart, and there's AC running in their place. No water, no running water. The toilet that they have access to, they gotta wait to have access to, is outside of the fishbowl. It floods. And initially, they put before they flew to Honolulu to Alava, they tried to put him in that. They put him in that cell. Him and 3 other guys. They put him in a cell, like intentionally. Put him in a cell. They said because his classification status or suicide or what was.
Right, no. So they get fire.
Huh?
That's what they get fire.
The cell and catch fire.
What about? What are you talking about for me?
Inside the one that's the cell that flood.
Oh yeah. So the flood. No, it's broken. The seal is broken and it flood out and then blame me off on.
They blamed it on
And
So they caught fire.
they put him in the cell that caught fire too. So you get COVID and then you breathe. I mean, the smell on any building will stay. Yeah, you know, it will take a long time to get rid of it. And they put him in a cell. He get breathing water. And you know what? When my daughter went to pick up his property, they said never have him until the judge went ordered the injunction. And all of a sudden I got the call from Dr. Miles. The next day she got the call saying they found his property. So they was holding out his agreement. They said you did him wrong. You had to remember my son had memorized the numbers. So he was able to report it to his attorney.
Wow. Wow. So
So
they
this is Dustin right here.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Me too.
Nice to meet you too. Justin?
Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin.
Dustin. Sorry, Dustin. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, this kid's
Awesome.
today.
So they weren't offered any help, basically, is what you're telling me, Alice. After he caught COVID. Yeah.
They made him worse, and they was looking for every reason to write him up and put something on him.
Wow.
And then I spoke to the news station, and they wasn't gonna run my story, and I said I didn't pour my heart out to you for you not run my story. I said speak to the grievance specialist. And she's seen a lot of stuff come across her desk. Well, Belisa Jones and worked there for 20 years, and all of a sudden has a conscience about the living conditions at the jail. It's unbelievable. You work there 20 years, and now all of a sudden you have a conscience about the way the the way they're having to live. It's inhumane, they call it.
Yeah.
So why is that a change? Because they're joining in the lawsuit. That's sad. That's really sad.
Yeah,
That's really
it is.
sad.
That's not right. Yeah.
And substance abuse touches. Nobody's exempt. You know, a lot of people, you can be an attorney, you can be a judge, you can be a doctor. You touch somehow, or if it's even happening in your community, you're still touched by it, you know. Like, it's an issue, and mental health illness is an issue, and it can't be seen. And there's a stigma attached to it. Like, my son didn't know that the voice he was hearing, he didn't know. His cousin had to explain to him that, you know, this is what's happening, it runs in the family, and so we started to understand, okay, this is what's happening. So we can differentiate in what is facts and what is not, but it's very hard for him sometimes. Like, he sits and he dazes off, and nobody can stand behind him, not even me. Like, and I'm like, I'm a mom, and you can't reach showing subliminal messages to him. And it's a direct result from an isolation of
Mhm. Well, Alice, maybe that's a good transition. One thing I've been looking at is, it takes approximately $219 a day to incarcerate somebody, and that's almost $80,000 a year. So I'm kind of wondering for you, if you were to think about taking all of the money that we invest in the system that we have now that holds people in pretty inhumane conditions that you're describing, what would you want to see that money go towards?
I would like to see him go to places like Going Home Consortium, build not houses, build maybe apartment complexes where they can have roommates.
Mm.
Like in a treatment facility, they have like an expediter like that, but they have somebody that don't put people like all people that are strong in their recovery together, like, like make it balanced, have case management, because case management is so amazing when you watch their lives come together. I think case management is, I love it. You watch their lives get restored, you remove the barriers. It's amazing, and they part of that. They tell you this is what I need my license, My son apply for an restricted license on his own, you know, like they need, and mental health. They need more mental health
Mhm.
facilities. They can. I told Max Otani, if you hire more psychiatrists or psychologists, whatever, and address a mental health issue, you'd be a hero. You'd be. I think you're gonna be a hero. Do that because everybody gonna seem less supporting it. But then again, put somebody on lockdown for a long time. What do they expect? What do they expect? You know.
Yeah.
They should try going and try experiencing that. They should try sitting down with the person and try hearing their story. Because if they would have heard their story, they would have realized that my son had a hard life growing up. I did a lot of things wrong. And my daughter told me I still taught her, you know, but I did a lot of things wrong with substance abuse and I wasn't there emotionally for them. When I was there, I wasn't there. I see past them, you know. But they take the time to understand because I know they get, I can say like that. I know they get bad people out there, too bad friends, but I know that get good in everybody. We just gotta find that and build on that. But build houses like because they need funding. We're no concern. They need the money. Why is our people in Arizona? Why are they so far away? And the whole time my son was in isolation, he couldn't even call. He had one call every 2 weeks. It's just sad. Why it's like they keep him away. It's a control thing. It's like an abusive relationship, actually. That's what it is. It's the same as an abusive relationship. So, and then what do they have to do? They have to defend themselves, or they're gonna die now. Whether it's gonna be suicide or whatever it is, it's gonna be covered up. That's why it's not released. I truly believe that. I don't agree with the oversight committee being confidential. They should be transparent. I'm thinking I want to form a committee under them that would have them be transparent. People in the community, people like us, people that has been incarcerated, people like Yokowana Kea, who works with the menopause, you know, have different people in there. Not people that was one director of the jail. I mean, was the director, you know, and even Fred Hunt. He's now the one, the parole authority. He denying everybody's parole before they even say anything.
Oh yeah, and
he was 5 days into his tenure. Yeah, 5 days he was there temporarily from October 1st to November 31st. Temporary position till before Max County took over. Okay, now 5 days into his position, he makes a decision to send inmates, pretrial detainees to Halaba.
the way going about determining whether they should be eligible for parole or not is very foul too.
Yeah.
Like,
They're not
for
even-
example, somebody who lost both their siblings, they'll say something to the nature of them their siblings deserving to die. See how they would react. And if they react in an aggressive manner, which is expected from anybody, if you're told that your siblings deserve to die, then they'll extend your parole and you can be eligible for parole for another 7 years.
Yeah.
The way they go about it is just foul.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody in their right mind would get upset and act, aggressively, being told that their two siblings deserve to die.
Especially after sitting in jail for so long, and then you start to develop the mentality. Kyle Quilly, he has this segments that he's showing. He explains how, he never fought in his life, and he had to adjust in jail, like because he was taught to help, and then he sees these people getting beaten, and he can't help them because he just cannot. So he goes to his cell and he prays, and he's like, God, help me stay humble. Help me pray, help me stay humble. He does this repeatedly because he couldn't help the people, but he had to adjust in a way, and find a balance, not to stare too hard at people because you have to fight, but not to let people overstep because they would steal his bread and all kinds of bread. But, and then they tolerate, they feed those incarcerated to go beat up other people. So it's like they have them against each other.
Mm,
So it causes division.
yeah.
Anything divided against itself will not stand. And
Yeah.
what better way to do that? Have them be divided against themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So COVID exposed a lot.
Mm,
What my son did was brave. And what what he did was one selfless act. He had no money in mind. He never asked for be released early. I asked him to get released early because I know he get asthma. I was asking, and the judge didn't deny him. The judge denied it. And after they denied it, they said, "Oh yeah, they made sure they repeat about him assaulting officers when it never happened." So then just his character is like, it's his character, but people that know him and see him today, even the police officers, there's a fire at 52 apartments and a building away from where my daughter lives. And my granddaughter, she saw it, she said fire. And my son ran out, no hesitation, ran out. He heard people yelling for help. 4 people jumped out the window. My son is the one who told him, "You guys have to jump or you're gonna die." And they jumped to him. He said, "Mom, I never catch none of them." But he didn't break their fall. Like, he saved their lives.
yeah.
And I tell him, "I'm so proud of you, son." And you know his response is, "God is good." He was there at the right time.
Well, Alice and Erica, and I don't know if Dustin is listening in too. Thank you so much for sharing with me today. Is there any other things that you would want people to know? Any last thoughts you kind of want to share before we wrap up here?
Along with mental health issues and rehabilitation culture, because
Mm,
everybody gets some kind of culture. I went to the Hawaiʻi and had people from all different backgrounds, but we all had some kind of culture, right? So we got to share with each other about our culture, but even have somebody come in, help them do the genealogy, because we're not just drug addicts or alcoholics or inmates or whatever it is. We come from somewhere. When I did my genealogy, I found out I meant to be here because my dad was, when I had a vasectomy, and then he was unstressed, and my mom said, "Don't do it." And here I came. So now I feel like I have a purpose, right?
mm,
So the genealogy is important, get them back to the roots, where they from, who they are, and IDs, getting. It's hard to get an ID. I don't want an ID. I just got my birth certificate,
mm,
But if I was to get arrested, the cop would say, "That's Alice Kahaleua. They can ID me. Why they can't have something like that?" In fact, I was reading about something like that. I think I found it on your thing, on your page.
It should help them get all the documentation they need for when they come out. They're able to get housing, get financial assistance, or get a job. You can't get a job if you don't have an ID, social security card, and those things are difficult to obtain, especially coming out. And if you have mental health issues, you're not going to want to sit there and fill out paperwork or even jump on a computer and try to navigate their website, because it is difficult to navigate a lot of websites.
right.
But I had a difficult time. I tried to help him. My mom's tried to help him, and he did it. He got everything going, but it took a long time, and he lost out on multiple job opportunities because he didn't have an ID or a social security card. So that would be kind of vital for them to try and help, especially someone who's been in there for a long time. They're gonna come out and they're not gonna have any documentation, and that's their identity. That's what who's your identity? If you don't have an identity, I mean, then people start to question, well, who the hell am I? What am I doing here? I should be better off in jail, and then they start, committing more crimes, and they end up right back in because they don't have the means and the right documentation to get their lives together.
Right.
Stuck. It's just stuck.
Yeah. It's crippling. It mentally cripples them, and then they just want to give up everything. Something so simple as an ID or a paper that has a number on it,
Mm-hmm.
So small things make the biggest differences.
Yeah.
Yep.
And because him being in isolation for such a long period of time, I think if he was to get locked up again, he would still owe them some solitary confinement time. Really, that's what they said. Well, smoking marijuana, which like I said, it's just a mental health, like a relapse, right? So the system is set up to help have them feel job security, right? And then just because you're in isolation does not excuse case managers from providing case management. I'm so disappointed. I spoke to the head of the case management in Halava, and I was so disappointed. And she was just talking to me too, and I don't care. That's my son. I said, you shouldn't do your job. You shouldn't have your job if you don't have the compassion to do it. You know what I mean? Because it's rewarding to watch people's lives come together, and you're missing out on an opportunity. Why? Because he's in a hole. You don't get that. No, it says that they have to provide case management, and they failed him. So when he came out, they set him up to fail. Should do that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Alice and Erica, for sharing with me today. I learned a lot from you too. So thank you. And like you said, Alice, it's meaningful to tell stories. So I really appreciate you two being willing to do that today, because I know it has an impact when we tell stories to each other. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.